Ghislaine Maxwell is openly trying to manipulate Donald Trump, and she has just made that strategy unmistakably clear. After her closed-door deposition with the House Oversight Committee, where she repeatedly invoked the Fifth Amendment and refused to answer questions, her intentions became obvious. Why stay silent? Because she had nothing to gain this time. But in the past, when she did speak on the record, she had everything to gain, and she knew it. Maxwell repeatedly committed perjury on behalf of Todd Blanche and Donald Trump because she expected a reward. And she got one, a transfer to what many have described as a five-star prison facility in Texas, where she has openly boasted about her living conditions. Now, she is laying out what she wants next, effectively exposing Trump's strategy in the process. Newly released prison footage sheds further light, not only on Maxwell's treatment behind bars and what she is angling for, but also on the lingering questions surrounding Jeffrey Epstein's mysterious death in custody. There is a lot to unpack here, but it begins with Democratic Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury, who sharply criticized what happened after the closed-door deposition and revealed key details about Maxwell's plan before her public statement.
How Donald Trump was involved and whether or not he committed any crimes himself, as did his many associates who are named in the Department of Justice files. Let us be clear that Donald Trump is not only named thousands of times in the latest release from the Department of Justice, he is named over 38,000 times in the files that were released 2 weeks ago alone. And we know that that only represents half of the files that the Department of Justice has in its possession, including files that were used for direct investigations of perpetrators, people who committed crimes, people who were co-conspirators in those crimes, and individuals who knew of those crimes. We know that there are multiple administration officials, including Howard Lutnick, Elon Musk, who served as the appointee for the DOJ efforts in the White House. We know that the Secretary of Navy, we know that Steve Bannon, we know that there are more than 36 associates, family members, and individuals directly associated with Donald Trump named in those files. Now, there are now at least 9 or 10 other countries across the world that have opened investigations or forced their leaders to step down because of their mere association with Jeffrey Epstein. And the United States government is engaged in an active cover-up of the largest sex trafficking scandal and influence peddling scandal in the history of the United States, and Donald Trump is right at the center of it.
I don't think we are nearly outraged enough about this. I certainly am. And if you're watching this, I suspect you are too. Yet mainstream media still frames Jeffrey Epstein as merely a disgraced financier, rather than what he truly was, one of the most notorious depraved sex traffickers in American history. The way this scandal is being treated, as if it's just another piece of political drama, just Trump being Trump, is deeply harmful. It distorts how we should understand people who spent decades committing horrific crimes while operating alongside some of the most powerful figures in global finance and government. And it's becoming clear that many Republicans are treating this entire issue like a political game. That's exactly why Ghislaine Maxwell feels so emboldened to play her own game, especially when House Oversight Chair James Comer is pressed about additional witnesses and responds the way he does.
Mr. Chairman, does the committee have any plans to subpoena Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, given the revelations about his relationship?
We're going to try to get these 5 nailed down. We've got a lot of very important people we're trying to bring in to answer questions. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize the 5 that we have on the book. So we'll see what happens here, and we'll move forward.
Ghislaine Maxwell knows that Republicans are not interested in the truth. She understands perfectly well that this is all a coordinated political maneuver, that they are playing on the same team, and that team's real objective is to protect Donald Trump at all costs. That is why they refuse to seriously question Howard Lutnick, why they barely pressed Maxwell in her deposition, and why the parameters of the investigation had to be negotiated so narrowly in the first place. When Democrats pushed for broader questioning, Trump insisted on moving everything behind closed doors. They are not seeking accountability, they are orchestrating a process that serves Trump. And that is exactly why Maxwell felt confident enough to make such a brazen move after her testimony. During her appearance before the House Oversight Committee, Maxwell flatly refused to answer questions about Jeffrey Epstein unless Trump grants her clemency. She publicly suggested that both Trump and Bill Clinton were innocent, but offered nothing beyond that. Instead, she repeatedly invoked her Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. It's no surprise that she is angling for a pardon. What is striking is how openly and shamelessly she's doing it. She is clearly betting that the only way to reach Trump is through the media, dangling the promise that she could help make the Epstein story go away for both him and Clinton in exchange for leniency. And Trump's growing concern about Clinton makes this even more revealing, because Clinton could say far more about Trump's ties to Epstein than Trump would ever want public. The release of new prison footage of Maxwell only makes her maneuvering look more blatant. It feels less like desperation and more like calculated lobbying, a convicted trafficker leveraging what she knows to cut a deal with a former president. Recently leaked footage of Ghislaine Maxwell in her original Tallahassee prison cell, pacing back and forth, and being described in sympathetic language as uncomfortable, tells us a great deal about the media's strategy surrounding her case. Good. She should be uncomfortable. She is a criminal. That video didn't leak by accident. It reveals how Maxwell and her team are trying to shape public perception, and how much of the media has swallowed Donald Trump's framing of the Epstein files whole. Too many outlets now treat this as some overblown Reddit conspiracy, echoing Trump's claim that people simply bumped into Epstein at dinner in Palm Beach, and that anyone who cares is taking it too far. That narrative is false. Maxwell was not just Epstein's friend who got caught up in something. She was a central architect of a massive sex trafficking operation, a career criminal at the darkest level imaginable. Everything people feared the Epstein files might contain has largely been confirmed, not disproven. To me, this prison footage highlights two major failures. First, Maxwell has been unfairly softened in public view. Why? She is a convicted trafficker, a horrific figure. Yet there has been shockingly little outrage over the fact that she has enjoyed extraordinary privileges in custody. Her own spacious cell in Texas reported access to pets, yoga, food delivery, hobbies, and guards, who say they are afraid of her. The mainstream press has barely treated this as a scandal, and that is unacceptable. Second, and even more disturbing, is the obvious question: how do we have detailed video of Maxwell in prison, but not full footage of Jeffrey Epstein's death? How did this Maxwell video get out so easily, while every explanation around Epstein is murky? Cameras malfunction. Angles were insufficient. Records were inconsistent. Even the official date of his death was initially wrong, before being quietly corrected. It is impossible not to see a pattern of selective transparency. The government seems perfectly capable of releasing footage when it serves a narrative, yet somehow incapable of releasing footage when it might expose the truth. That alone should make anyone suspicious. Now, Maxwell is openly saying she won't share anything unless Trump grants her clemency. But we don't need her testimony. The evidence already exists in files that still haven't been fully released. Her demand for a pardon only deepens the appearance that this entire process is rotten. Would she be making this play if Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, or Barack Obama were in office? Obviously not. Not only were they never aligned with her, they would never even consider pardoning a violent sex trafficker. And remember, by law, Maxwell shouldn't even be in the kind of facility she's in. Yet she enjoys perks most prisoners could never dream of because she previously lied for Trump's lawyer. And now she's effectively saying, "I'll lie again, but I want a bigger reward." She has given the game away. She is basically admitting, Trump already gave me a resort once. If I talk again for him, I want something even better. That is breathtaking. Meanwhile, the media's silence on all of this is outrageous. She receives meals on demand. Guards fear her. And Trump's influence hangs over the entire situation. So I'll say it plainly. The reason we have footage of Maxwell and not Epstein is because Maxwell's video can be used to humanize her, while Epstein's footage would expose everything powerful people don't want us to see. They are controlling what we are allowed to know about this scandal. Every step of it. And that should infuriate anyone who actually cares about truth and justice. Which brings me to why independent, progressive media matters so much. This is why outlets like Don Lemon, Brian Tyler Cohen, Pod Save America, and many others are essential. We need more real reporting, not propaganda. Keep fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you.